right, so calling the meeting to order. We have 5 members present. So open up the agenda, which is not coming up on my computer, but I'll do it here, hopefully. But our first is consideration of minutes.
Yeah.
So we all got a copy of the minutes from the last meeting?
I did not.
You didn't?
No.
Let's see. He sent it to RC, right?
He did, yeah.
Am I
Came
on
in
that alias?
It should be in the alias.
Came in on the 18th of August.
What's his
6:19.
subject line?
Retcon.
.com.
So I wasn't at that meeting, but the only
Oh,
thing,
I did.
when I reviewed it, the only question I had was the Democratic Committee.
Mhm.
Matt said it failed, but the numbers he gave,
Yeah, so it should be
060.
060, correct?
And the motion was not to approve, I assume, right?
No, the motion would be.
The motion was to approve and it failed, 060.
Oh, okay.
060.
060 is whatever. Okay, that's right. Okay. So that just needs to be corrected.
Yeah.
Other than that, I wasn't here, so everything looked good to me.
Anybody? I'll make a motion to approve the meeting minutes with the one adjustment of the vote of the Litchfield Democratic Party to 060.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Oh,
Abstained?
Abstain.
3. So it carries 302. And we'll get the agenda back up. All right. And our next item is public input. So I know you guys are here from baseball. Anybody else here from just for public input?
I'm just here to, my name's Craig, I'm from the softball side, just to kind of be present and kind of just.
he's Craig.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
I don't know.
Nice to meet you, Craig. All right. So we have, then we have facility and field requests. We got the one from Steve for January, which I think we just got that for,
Well, you'll be doing that like in October, right?
right. So we'll do that during the meeting. We'll sort of work that out with everybody for the winter group. Not just, we can't really start approving people because we'll do one where we have everybody meet and make sure everybody's
So it's not a first come, first serve.
right. I don't think we saw any other field
Well,
requests.
No, there's a couple, adult softball. Do we even have adult softball anymore in the town?
That was
I
just
know.
an inquiry if we have adult softball.
no, it's somebody.
It's in the book.
school's
I
looking
noticed it was in
for
the book.
the school board. It looks like looking for an insurance certificate.
Oh, that's for men's basketball.
Oh, okay. Right.
So the men's basketball league has fallen under our purview for the last some odd years. So we'll just need to forward that to Troy because they are
Donna
covered by
usually
insurance.
just sends it
Yeah.
to them, yeah.
Would you
but-
mind doing?
No, I can do that.
I'm
Okay.
doing it right now.
But in the when they, I'm sorry, what's her, I can't remember, Leanne. In there, it does list adult softball.
We did at one point have
Yeah.
adult softball.
So I wonder if we should take that out and just let them know that it's not in.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I know that there was somebody that wanted to start it up again this year, right? Didn't they do a
There
little bit?
was the lawyers that wanted to do it.
No, there was another one that they wanted to do sort of an informal pickup softball.
Yeah, adult softball league, Sundays, 4 p.m.
Okay, yeah, so that'll come up.
Yeah.
That's no longer happening.
Adult volleyball is on there.
Really?
Fall, winter, spring at LMS.
Huh.
Okay.
Never
leave it
even knew
updated.
about that. I don't know.
All right, I'll reach out to that guy.
Okay.
Is there a calendar that shows all the use for all the fields? Rope?
No, there is one for Town Hall. There isn't one for the fields. We started making one, but then it was because we have a couple of multi-use fields. It's almost impossible to do so because, like, well, are you using the soccer field at Dara or one of the softball fields, or we haven't really figured out a good way to do that as of yet. All right, and no other requests. All right, then we will go to new business. I think I had forwarded you the request from baseball for the impact fees, or no, revolving fund fees for
Fundraising, yeah.
Jeff Lane for the Justin Bissett Fields. And it was, how long ago was that? It was probably, well,
I
like
believe
2 weeks ago.
I believe the 15th email exchange that the most recent one I sent you.
Email from Will. Talking that.
The 17th.
17th we exchanged some emails.
And there was a PowerPoint. You guys didn't get that?
I have
I got-
copies of the PowerPoint to share.
I got the
Okay.
one that Will sent on the 14th with all the attachments.
Right. So this was the 17th was the last time I had gotten back to him.
Okay.
So I don't know if you guys want to come up and just state your name and your address and who you're representing, and you can,
Will Henderson, 11 Foxwood Lane, with the Litchfield Baseball Association.
Jim Spots, 47th Century Lane, LBA.
Todd Marlin, 8,000 Drive, Litchfield Baseball Association.
All right, Paul, there's one of the staples.
thank you.
All right. Basically, what we're looking to do is just kind of get to a completion stage with the Jeff Lane Field project. It's been going on for a period of time, and it's kind of, we need to do that bullet checklist to really clean up A, clean up B, and go down the list. We're attempting to prioritize. The first item up for bid, the fence crowns, is a new situation, so that it never been put on. That's very much a standard of care issue, not a standard of practice, meaning safety. Every field in America is doing it now. We don't have it. We actually had Jim's son one day ran into the fence this summer, left with a gash because the chain link fence, it's not always as smooth as it should be. So it's basically a plastic crown that goes over. You've probably seen them at other fields. So that's one item. The second item, the larger expenditure right now, is to remove the infield material and to put in a more proper mix. The mix that was put in there originally is just simply just too soft. And once again, it actually is a safety issue to a point that our cooperating town, Hudson, refused to play on it. And when kids run on it, you're slipping and sliding and things like that. But yet when you go to run to a base and slide intentionally, you stop short. Basically, it's very similar to trying to play at the beach. And it just, the material, just the grains are so big, they don't ever really truly compact and adhere to each other. And it's just very, very soft, loose material. We've tried to rake it, we've tried to roll it, we've tried to do a lot of things to it. It just is not the right material.
So it sounds like there's too much sand in the mix.
It is,
Actually, I'm not sure there's too much sand. I'm not sure if you go out there, I don't know if you've been out there and looked at the infield mix, it appears to be wash from a stone. I'm not sure if it's sand.
Okay, so it could, well, I mean, it could be sand, it could be like stone dust, something similar. It's and I know when we did it down at Dara, it's depends on the part of the country that you're in, what you want to have.
Sure, 100%.
So I know that in order to get it harder, there should be a higher clay mix
100%.
in it. So my question is, removing all that sand and then replacing it with a sand and clay mix, wouldn't it make sense to just work more clay into the
This
mix to get the
material,
proper?
when you reach out and go to various vendors that sell infield mix, truly infield mix, the material that is there is not part of their mix. In the sense, literally, if you look at it, it's not, the grains are different. It's you're using a Lego instead of a Spree, piece of candy. I mean, it's that different in my eyes. So I understand, and I certainly, Colleen was very involved with softball, working those mixes in and dragging them in and putting the clay on top and things like that. My concern is that if you just put clay on top, you'd have hard surface.
No, I'm talking about tilling it in.
I understand. I'm going to try to explain. If you just put clay on top, you'd have a hard surface on top of the soft. We know that wouldn't work. So the tilling it in, rotating it, mixing it in, trying to make an homogeneous mix. The problem is that the grains are such different size, they're going to settle themselves out again. And so I just don't see it as ever a real fix. I see it as we would continually need to be putting on this clay mix, and you're going to spend more money in the long run continuing to do that, as opposed to biting the bullet, removing what's there now and putting a proper mix in. That's our perspective.
Aren't we annually adding mix to the fields anyway?
No, there's no conditioning on the field right now.
No, but I mean, it does get worn out.
So what you're talking about is a calcium carbonate conditioning, like what you do down at Dara, right?
No, I'm talking about, hey,
We've
we've got divots, we've got there's holes. No, and every year we buy infield mix and we add it because of what has worn away or blown away or been dug away. Correct?
I don't know that that's regularly happened in the baseball fields.
Corning field it has. Every year we add about 10 yards to the infields.
I don't believe we've ever truly put in the proper mix, because even when we've put things in at Corning Field in the past, we've then gone in and we're pulling out stones. So stones, kids are going to get hurt diving on it. So I think my eyes this is something we need to, I believe what you're saying, long-term continual maintenance, 100%. Right now, the material that's there is just it's not safe. I mean, Hudson refused to play on it.
I don't think you could add infield mix to what's there now, and it would make a difference.
I'm not saying infield mix, I'm saying clay.
Okay, so if you're looking at a majors field and a minors field, that's 21 cubic yards of clay for the majors and 12 cubic yards for the minors. So that's pure clay, right? Pure natural clay. How much is that per cubic yard?
I wouldn't know.
I think it's well above what it is for the infield mix. We got down to the infield mix down to.
Well, I mean, we're not going to completely replace it with clay.
No, I understand, but you're still looking at probably, so your ratio for clay to sand is usually sand 65, silt 20, and then clay 15%, right?
Okay.
So you're looking at putting at least an inch and a half on top of all this, right? So 1.5 times 21 times 12.
And where are you getting those? What?
Yeah,
So 12 cubic yards give you 1 cubic inch on top of a minors leagues field. 21 cubic yards give you 1 inch on top of a majors field, right? You're looking at adding about an inch and a half of clay on both.
That seems a little high.
Well, that's your ratio. So if
No,
you
but
want,
I'm just saying, as far as how you calculating the area of the infield.
it's just off the internet. You can pull it up for a 60
Yeah,
or
but I mean,
70.
you got to take out the grass too.
No, that's
That
not.
is the dirt.
Yeah, that's dirt only. It's a lot higher for.
So on
That doesn't
this,
sound right.
on this form, what number am I looking
So
at?
number one, so the
Okay, so the
expenditure that we're
infield, pitching
requesting
mounds,
first.
okay.
So the very then these are future projects that we see need to be addressed. We're
Okay.
not requesting funds for those at this time. We're just requesting funds for the infield mix and the fence crowns. In the way that the request is broken down, you look on the third page there. Impact fees, because the fence crown is a new item, it's never been put in. That, to our understanding, that's impact fees.
That can't be impact fees.
Okay, so what
It
you
has to be
guys
in the
are,
original proposal for what we put in for impact fees. We can't, impact fees, there's certain stipulations that we have to go to. Any existing facility, we cannot use impact fees for unless it's expanding the capacity of the facility.
So the fact that it was not, because it was not requested,
On the original proposal to the Board of Selectmen, correct.
even though it's part of the
even though
fence?
it's part of the.
It was not proposed as part of the proposal.
And I'd be skeptical as far as the fence crowns go I went out and measured, and the top of the chain link to the bar, which kind of holds that tubing on, is 6 inches. To the bottom, from the bottom of the horizontal bar to the top of the chain link is 6 inches. Now those tubes are 4 inches in diameter. And we, as a board, a couple of years ago, decided that we weren't going to do it, number one, but number two, I'm not sure if the 4-inch tubing is going to fit on the fencing.
These are, I guess my response to that is these are companies that sell this for chain link fencing fields all across America.
Yes,
So
but the
this
bar is different on this. It's not the same. Have you gone out and measured the bottom of the bar to the top of the fence?
I do not believe it's 6 inches.
Do you
I
believe,
haven't measured, no,
do
we
you
haven't
believe a
measured
4-inch
it.
tube will fit over that? I don't think so. It's not, they left that fence awfully high above the bar.
Mhm.
And so you've got like, I don't think that a 4-inch tube is going to fit over it. I mean, we can pass on that particular aspect till we figure it out, but I mean, I don't believe that a 4-inch tube is going to fit over the top of the chain link.
All right, so I'm skipping to the third page because I think it gives you the breakdown. You're talking about fundraising of 9,000 and impact fees of 1,209. So 1,209 would be the fence crown.
Fence crown and some wire, some zip ties.
To hold it down in place.
All right, so most of this is just the quotes for the,
There's 3 quotes for the fence crowns and there's 3 quotes for the infield mix.
okay.
And one of the, then if you look on the third page there that had the 9,000 and the 1,200, it says lay down infield mix. There's going to be needed expenditure of $2,110. We have a company that has Ground Dog that has, they do this, they lay out fields and things like that. They're giving us very much a discounted rate because of the relationship they have with another vendor who's giving us free services. They have not given us a written quote on that. It's very much a verbal relationship agreement. And to our understanding, correct me if we're wrong, because it's less than $5,000, we don't necessarily need to have 3 quotes for that.
Right, the town purchasing policy.
Okay, but yeah, just sharing that.
Kurt, do we know what the balance is in the revolving fund from baseball?
Yeah, it was around 18,000.
So what you guys want to do is take all the mixture that is currently in the lines and the mound as well, that area, and replace it with,
Well, the mounds, we're gonna basically keep the material that we have.
Okay.
The mounds are made of different material right
Yeah,
now. We got some additional material.
Okay.
We put them together at the beginning of the season pretty quickly and we didn't use the bricks like we're supposed to.
Okay.
So we've been piling up bricks from the recycling center, saving those, and then when we get enough, we'll put together the pitch.
okay, so the base paths and the backstop area
Yes.
will be replaced with,
And so
Infield
we're
mix.
looking to take out approximately 6 inches of material all the way around. Mike Grace, who owns and operates Hudson Paving, has agreed to come in and remove the material for nothing. He's also going to have his guys drive trucks to where Dirt Doctors is in Pembroke for nothing. He's going to then come in, to the best of his skill set, spread the material. But the ultimate goal is to get then Groundhog, who knows really how to lay it down and make sure it's spread out and distributed evenly and properly. That's where that $2,100 is.
All right, so we're talking 6,700 for the actual infield mix.
Correct. 6,693.75. Yes.
And that will cover both fields.
Yes.
Yes.
And that will also turn the majors field into a 60/70.
Okay.
So there's.
So you're going to expand the field?
No, it's basically cutting in on the infield so you can put a 60-foot diamond and a 70-foot diamond. That way you can have a 60-foot tournament on both fields there.
The field could be used for different age groups, more age groups.
Did the baseball, did LBA vote on that, to do that, or are you just talking about this right now?
That was in the original proposal.
Okay, and the baseball board voted to turn it into a 60-foot field?
I don't know if we went into detail on that. I don't know if it
Oh.
was brought up.
Because that might save us some material if we keep the field the way it is.
I guess I would want to be able to service as many people as possible.
Say that again, I'm sorry.
Kurt's suggesting not to expand the infield to allow for both age groups to play on it. I would think that'd be not wise. You'd want as many kids to have access to the field as possible.
Right, because what are the ages currently that can use it?
Right now, it's predominantly 11, 12-year-olds. By Cal Ripken rules, a 10-year-old could play on it. If you expanded it to a 60-foot, 70-foot combination field, you would have anywhere from, I believe, 7-year-olds all the way through 12-year-olds.
It would be more use, definitely. Alleviate maybe LMS.
Well, they don't use LMS at all.
The 12 years old?
They've not.
Oh, they don't use
that was
LMS?
Part of
That's what the
the
field is built for.
Oh, okay.
Field being built, yeah.
Used it.
Let me just ask a question about the dollars being requested. The fundraised dollars, there's a current balance in the revolving fund that you guys have already fundraised for.
Yes.
Yeah, that was all the,
Accessing these dollars.
Yes.
but I mean, most of that was earmarked. The hope was for the irrigation. 'Cause that was the next big ticket item, because obviously we were kind of lucky with the weather this year. If we didn't have the weather, you guys would have been
The
playing.
concern about doing the irrigation first is if you then eventually bring equipment in on that field and trucks, you're going to have major irrigation problems.
We're going to break the head.
You can't have, vehicles large enough to carry quantities of material driving on that field will.
So work from the inside out.
Well, it's gonna
Yes.
damage the fields anyway.
There's no question there's going to be some tire marks and we're going to have to go over and address some of that. Yes, I would agree with that. That's why our hope is to do it now. This time of the year, probably the hardest surface we're going to have.
So who have you brought the current infield mix to analyze?
To analyze?
Analyze it, yeah.
We haven't brought it to anybody to analyze it. I mean, this is the product. We've got the specs on the product from the vendor.
Right, but I mean, has anybody taken a sample of what we have and brought it anywhere to have them analyze what it is and what's composed of?
Now, there's a thing you can do with water jugs. You drop it into a water jug, just spin it around, and then it settles out. And so that's what we've done. It has not been formally analyzed where we got, based on grain size and percentage or anything like that.
So we don't know what we have.
Based on what we saw from the experiment that we did, it looks like it's wash.
We've also talked to a couple of groundskeepers that manage professional fields, and they have advised us that one, not try and mix in the clay because it won't work, and two, that basically what that is on the field right now isn't going to work into the future.
Have they looked at it? They saw the material?
It's just been more described to them than anything, but
So we're going to spend $10,000 to replace soil that we looked at in a water jug and have told people about.
Well, it's also material that other towns will not send their children to
I
play on.
understand, but if there was too much sand and not enough clay, the towns would say exactly the same thing, correct?
what was the process of putting the dirt in the field the first time?
The process,
Is there
Yeah,
a process of
I mean,
doing
what
that?
was the testing on what was laid in there the first time?
I don't know the vendor.
It was donated.
So there wasn't, I guess, I don't know. It wasn't tested, it wasn't designed, it wasn't laid out.
It was purchased as infield mix, and it was donated to the town.
Mhm.
And it was a reputable vendor. So again, we don't know what the mix is. And again, when we did Dara, I learned a lot about,
Mhm.
okay, what part of the country are you in? How much clay mix do you need? How much sand mix do you need?
Water retention, water tables.
Well, and just in hardening,
Yes,
you go down
yeah.
south, they need a lot more sand than clay. We need more clay up here and less sand. So, it depends on where you're getting the mix from, what they do. I mean, to spend $10,000 to get rid of something that we don't exactly know what's there. I mean, what's the possibility? We're pulling out, what is it? 225 cubic yards of sand and replacing it with 180 cubic yards of sand and, another
Well, we're
40 cubic yards of.
Yeah, I guess
clay
I'm-
mix.
ultimately I'm not trying to be challenging or negative, but you're ultimately asking us, is this potentially the right mix? And I would welcome you to come walk the fields with us. And when you step on it for the first time, you don't need science to tell you that this is not right. You know what I mean? It's
Right, but I'll
not.
tell you,
and-
we went through the same thing at Dara Pond,
Okay.
and they gave us a mix that was way too much sand.
Mhm.
We mixed clay in, and it fixed the problem.
this
And then
will-
it's been improved. I mean, it's
Okay. So I guess are you looking for a soil sample test? I'm not sure what you're driving. It sounds like what you want to do here is just, it doesn't sound like we've done the research that you're expecting to approve this proposal.
Well, I mean, right now we have $18,000 available.
Mhm.
Okay, so and that's been fundraised, hopefully to get the irrigation going because a lot of money's been invested in seeding and getting that grass going. If we don't irrigate it, we're going to lose all that,
Mhm.
and we're going to spend tens of thousands of dollars to redo everything over there. So if we put that on the back burner and spend this money on infield mix,
Mhm.
then we're probably putting off irrigation for a year, correct? And we could potentially lose the grass in the fields.
Potentially, but aren't you also making it so nobody gets to play on the fields because nobody's going to play on the dirt? So what good is it?
For dirt that we don't know exactly, I mean,
Okay, can we add some additional money to the funding to ask for a soil sample to take it someplace? Would that fit into fees somewhere?
Yeah. Or
potentially,
do you guys
something like
have some clay you can just drop on it and try it?
Well, UNH Cooperative Extension, the agricultural division can do a soil test on it. You just got to send it out to them.
okay.
And I've done that with a few of my customers.
And that might be the way, I mean, because
So
I'd
if it comes
rather,
back and it says it's sand, what is the
And
proposal?
then what we did is then we got to a point where now we're even later into the year and now we can't address irrigation again. I guess I respect your concern for the definitive measures of what it is. I certainly understand that. I think that's a wise thing to do. But it's material that's not going to work. If you go to any field and you dig out this
Right,
material,
hold up,
you're
but-
not going to see. We have black pebbles
Mhm.
versus tan material. I mean, a tannish, sandiest. I mean, it's not even the same. It doesn't. There's no confusion that they're not the same material.
but we haven't had anybody with knowledge of what infield mix should be to actually look at it.
Okay. No, I won't argue that. Yeah. I mean, it would be good to have a professional do this.
But will
I
any
mean,
of
I-
those people, so say it comes back, none of us are infield mix experts here either. So say it comes back and it says, yep, you got 100% sand. Do any of us know what the ratio is of clay to sand to whatever this other compound is that will make it infield mix?
They might have some advice on it, UNH, potentially.
We don't know.
No, but I mean, this oil
Or
expert.
groundhog, if that's what they do,
Mhm.
Have they gone and has groundhog taken a look at it?
Just for the quote, for what they'll need to do.
Can we send 2 samples up, like from Groundhog and from the fields to UNH and say, what do we have to do to bring A to match up to B, or is it
Or from-
possible?
That's a good point.
From Dirt Doctors.
Yeah.
Or Dirt
yeah.
Doctors?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
that's what my
Yeah, I
question
know
is.
what you're saying. Yeah, that's a good point.
You guys have fall ball in those fields?
No.
So there's okay, nothing going on this fall. Okay.
Not usually, or just no
No, we
because
don't have
they will
fall
come?
We don't have fall ball.
You don't have fall ball, okay.
So I'm struggling a little bit as far as not approving this, because if this was impact fees or tax dollars, I think the bar would be much higher. But the fact that it's their fundraising dollars, I'm a little bit hesitant to delay it, because I certainly get the challenge of risking irrigation, but this request is not out of scope with your mission, and if it's your perspective that this is the most urgent thing, these are not tax dollars impacting impact fees. I'm more inclined to support it, because you have every incentive to get that field where it needs to be as soon as possible and not lose the grass. So I'm assuming that if this does eat up the irrigation funds, that's going to be next up on the fundraising plan. And that's would be my hope. Like if you come back and say no, yeah.
100%. Our intention
So-
would be to, if these funds were approved, Hudson Paving, Mike Grace has told us the day that the funds are available, he is stopping his paving crew and sending his guys over here and going to get it done. And it takes 2 weeks lead time to have the mix prepared so we can pick it up in quantity that we need. But basically, so we would have a timetable set up. And I mean, in our minds, we're thinking, you got Labor Day weekend. Okay, we're thinking by September 15th-ish, the material could be down. And then our next focus would be to say, okay, let's go back to, all right, now, what's the next thing we need to work on? The next project, and irrigation would be very, very high on that. Concession stand is listed above irrigation right now on that front page, because that's something that can kind of be worked on simultaneously. We're at an indoor portion of that. And so that, and also the fact that concession stands generate revenue, would bring back into the fund, which, so that's a pretty important one, but irrigation would be paramount. Yes.
Can I ask then, if there is no real use of the field this fall, is the only reason to do it now because the ground is the hardest right now, and then spring?
That, and to have, so we can have access. Obviously, we won't know what the weather's going to be like in the spring, and our goal would be to open the season with more suitable fields.
All right, so you're not looking for the concession stand and field access culverts
Nope.
at this point. What's the status of the parking and the playground?
Well, we finally got the playground moved a weekend, 2 weekends ago. And it was nice getting it moved finally. I made a phone call and it's going to be taken care of. So,
Okay,
Where's it going, Kurt?
I'm sorry? Oh, it's going across the street.
yeah.
It's going back over to the fields.
Yeah, well, the playground itself is now going to be on the baseball field side, and the parking lot's going to be across the street.
Okay, so that is going to get paved.
Not paved. It's just going to be turned into a
Okay.
gravel parking lot.
So that field access culverts,
There was a problem this past year, for the lack of a better description. There's one roadway access down at one end of the field that we can drive a vehicle across, and it's firm. But there was a little footbridge made out of a pallet almost, and a woman with her child was walking, and it was old and rotted. A board sprung up she was almost an injury. So we're looking to basically put a culvert there and put some crushed stone on it, so there's access at both ends of the field in essence.
yeah, because that was something that happened. That was the water project, right? That
Yeah.
sort of,
Yeah, they raised the road.
they raised the road
Foot and a
almost
half,
like
2
18
feet.
inches after we had put the fields in, which originally you used to be able to park on the side of that road, and your car didn't look like it was at a 45-degree angle, which makes the parking lot even more important now.
Yes.
It's kind of tough. Anybody want to bring a motion? Or do you guys, because once we go into motion and that, then it'll be with us.
Sure.
So I don't know if you guys have anything else you want to add before we,
No, I think I appreciate you giving us a little bit of time. I think you understand our perspective, and very much this is what we feel is best for the fields and the leagues and the kids moving forward, is these expenditures now to get those fields to a much more playable status. And our goal is to be playable for basically April 1st of next year. Certainly irrigation is very important. We know we need to grow grass to continue to make it safe. But we feel this is most important, based on safety of watching some of our kids play, but also, like I said, our competitive or our cooperative town refusing to play on the field because of that mix.
If the revolving fund has about 18,000, this consumes 10,000 of it, that means there'll be only 8,000 for the irrigation, which will delay irrigation probably 2 years, unless you could have another fundraiser enough
Well,
to
isn't there
compensate.
was $3,000 in the set aside that was left over from the original 89,000, and isn't there another $3,000 in impact fees available?
I thought we'd utilize all the impact fees.
Yeah, we're getting close to,
Our numbers indicated, if we're wrong, we'll be corrected. Our numbers indicated we were pretty close to being able to financially put in not only the infield mix, but if the timetable happens fast enough to get irrigation in this fall before the ground is frozen. And that'd be our ultimate goal.
so have you gotten any quotes for irrigation?
We have one and we're working on 2 more.
All right, what's your quote? What's the quote you have right now?
11.9 for the irrigation. We still need to do the well pump.
So that doesn't include putting the pump in and getting everything all put in.
Yeah, but we were able to get the systems down. The same guy that did the Sawgrass
Sawmill?
sawmill. Was it Rainmaker? So he went out there, walked the field, and gave us a quote of 11.9. That's just for the irrigation though. But we save a little bit of money on the
You did
pump.
Sawmill?
What's that?
Yeah,
You didn't do Sawmill.
Brian?
David.
Well, TLC did sawmill.
TLC did that. TLC did.
TLC is another company we're going to reach out to, as well as I believe there's a granite
He said he did
irrigation.
sawmill. Let me double check.
At one point, they did get the contracts. I don't know, did he do that field?
He didn't do the irrigation. He maintained the field for 2 years. They didn't do the irrigation.
Rainmaker?
Yeah, they were just the maintenance company. They did the mowing and the irrigation.
That was done, TLC, and then Continental did the excavating. And TLC did.
We'll be aggressive in the next week to solidify 3 bids and present them when that time comes.
And how much less would it be if we didn't go with the 60-70 fields? In other words, if we just did what's there?
25 cubic yards less.
So instead of 225, it'd be just 2.
Yeah, it'd be like 197 or something like that.
Once again, part of our desire to make it a 60-70 field is much like softball does when you host tournaments, is to be able to play 2 games of this age bracket at the same time. This parking lot obviously would have to happen first and things like that. But so maybe we could host a tournament, and things like that, and our kids would be playing in our town.
How does that impact the 70-foot field, though? 'Cause
Meaning-
I know there, the fencing company we use does a lot of stuff, did a lot of fields for Babe Ruth. They're the authorized vendor for Babe Ruth.
The blue ribbon.
Was it? Yeah, Blue
Yeah,
Ribbon.
Blue Ribbon.
And he was talking about, they have very, very strict regulations if you're going to host a tournament as to what the conditions would be. So with that,
We just played on a field up in Waterville, Maine. That's going to host the 2020 12U Cal Ripken World Series. It is a 60-70 combo field.
okay, so it doesn't impact the 70-foot.
Now what you do is there's basically where the base would go. There's a plug that goes in, a rubber plug. You can buy
Yeah, no, I
various.
know, because that's what we have at GMS.
Sure. Yeah.
It's a 60-70 field at GMS.
Yeah, very much. Yeah.
Because
100%.
60 feet
Yes.
for softball, 70 feet
For when Cal
baseball.
Ripken made.
But I know it makes, you can't really tell on that field because it's completely infield mix. There's no grass.
Okay, so aesthetically, it looks a little awkward. I won't lie. But playability wise, I don't see a problem with it. Playability wise, it looks like a larger, where the front edge of the grass is and the back edge is more extended, because if it was a true 60-foot field, this back would have brought in. If it was a true 70, you'd have just shifted it the other way. So it is a more total dirt clay material, sure, and that is visually obvious to most people, but playability wise, it's safe. It's being done nationally. Hudson does it. We play on a field like that in Hudson where they do it. We've played in tournaments in Salem. Like I said, this one in Waterville, we played in Waterville, Maine.
Yeah, the more complicated part is the pitching mound, because you have a 46 and a 50 foot. You got to figure out a way to hide that front plate.
And then once again, it's generally done with a rubberized plug. You know, you try and you can get various versions, and you leave it as flat as possible. So, you know, the kid pitching off the back pitching plate doesn't stumble on the front one.
Right. And the ball doesn't hit the front one when it's coming up.
Well, right, 100. Yes, very much so.
All right. Any other questions for these guys before we?
So is the major league kids going to be playing on a 60-foot or a 70-foot field, the 11, 12-year-olds?
Well, if we maintain playing in Cal Ripken, they'll play on the 70-foot field.
Okay, all right. Just wondering.
So the far field will still be 60 foot.
If you look at it, the field to the left, if you're looking from the street, the field to the left would remain just 60 feet. The distance of the fence is a little shorter on that one. That's intended for younger kids. The field to the right would have the combo. It would be 60, 70.
Okay. And so, you wouldn't be able to have two of the,
We do not have two fields that could accommodate 70-foot bases in town at the same location.
Okay.
But you would be able to do it with the younger kids.
all right. But the numbers aren't that big at that age group as well, correct?
Well, I don't think we have the option to. I would love to say both fields were 60, 70. That'd be really wonderful. And it just isn't the physical space on that one plot of land to do
Right.
that with two fields like that.
But the infield mix will replace both fields.
Yes, it will.
All right. Any other questions for these gentlemen before we go into deliberation? Anything else you guys would like to add?
Now, if you want to go walk the field before you do a final approval, I don't know if you can do that by mail, by email or something, but you seem to be a little bit uncomfortable with the analysis.
Well, I mean, we can't do anything by email when, like, as a commission, by law, we can only make decisions when we are in a quorum in an official meeting. So it's kind of like, we don't make a motion on it and decide on it now, you're waiting. It's 2 weeks.
Right.
Yeah, it's not going to kill
No,
us. But
we-
if you're not comfortable with the analysis, it might be worth going out there and walking the field and look at the samples.
In the meantime, they can get the soil analyzed too. If that's what you're hung up on too.
And that might,
The only I welcome, you need to feel comfortable before you vote or decide. Once again, the timetable ticks. And yes, you can say it's 2 weeks, but then, once again, if we're going to attempt to get irrigation in and things like that, if we're, so your comfort level has to, when you make your decision, obviously, as you see fit, we're going to do what we can with the opportunities and funds provided to us. But we're coming to you now because we feel this is the appropriate time, and we feel very confident that our request is based around safety for children, and that the current material cannot be made safe.
okay. Do I have anybody that wants to make a motion?
What we do make.
Now they want to leave.
I'll make a motion. I'll make a motion to approve the request of the fundraising amount of $9,000.75 to replace the infield mix, 225 cubic yards.
Second that, but I want to add something.
You can't.
I can't.
You can add it
Friendly
after.
amendment.
Afterwards, okay. I'll second.
All right, so we have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Can we adjust it to convert the 70s major field into a combination 60-70 field?
Oh, that would just be clarified. Yeah.
Okay.
Basically, you're looking to approve what they are proposing for the replacement of the infield mix as outlined, correct?
Yes. That's okay, yeah.
Good. So for 9,075, right?
Right.
And
Okay.
I'm not sure how
All right,
you
we're
need
done
to.
talking to you. We're in deliberation right now.
All right, any other discussion?
So that's just that, not the fence crowns.
Correct.
Okay. I have no other.
I mean, I just personally, $10,000 is a lot of money without information. I mean, not that I don't trust you guys, but none of us here are experts. And to go off of word of mouth, I think it would be, I mean,
Well, I think that's more than word of mouth. It sounds like they spent a season playing on it.
well, no, but they could have been playing a season on sand and it would have the same, right? Like if they were playing on a sand field, it would feel unsafe. I mean, the description is playing like on the beach. I would hate to see spending 10,000 where somebody else could have come along and said, hey, you know what? You could have spent $1,800, got a bunch of clay, mixed it in, and you'd have a good infield mix. Or they might say no, or they might. I just think that. I mean, we got this information 2 weeks ago, about actually a week or so ago, right? I think to make a rush to judgment in a week with the information and not having the information at hand. And no, it's not any tax dollars, but that means that we're going to have to we're going to have to pull money probably from our budget at some other points that this fundraising money was set aside for.
Well, in my mind, that'd be a different story because then if they said, well, now we need tax dollars, they'd say, well, no, because we approved this request with the expectation that they.
Right, but I mean, if we're
Fundraising.
pulling 10,000, if we spend $8,000 more than we need to out of these fundraising funds, then that's $8,000 less that we have to do on other things, and eventually it's gonna have to get done. And whether it's more fundraising or we can't touch impact fees for it, but it would have to be, we'd have two options: fundraising or our budget.
Yeah, so I think, the scale tilts for me that if it's fundraising dollars, particularly if that's already been fundraised, I lean towards it's their prerogative to decide how it's used. If it's tax dollars, then I think we absolutely.
Well, it's our prerogative because that was a fundraising effort between.
It's not baseball's funds, it's the recreation's
Yeah,
funds because it is
it
a
was our
recreation
fundraisers
field.
that we ran together. These are from the comedy nights, and they may have other fundraising things that they've done outside of this, but what we did together, those are the funds that went into the revolving fund. So that's stuff that we've done in conjunction with them. Anybody else?
I understand your point. You don't want to throw out the baby with the bathwater. If we could spend half the money to have it remixed, it's the preferred way to go. I'm certainly not an expert on baseball or the fields. I believe and trust what you're saying. I understand what you're saying too. If we could have an analysis done, so we know, someone confirming, yes, this is not the proper mix, and it's going to cost. I would hate to see the irrigation get put off as well later on, which will definitely have to happen because then you could start losing the grass. I kind of believe that I trust what they're doing, and the priority is, infields first, make the fields playable and expand it, and then work on the irrigation concession later.
Yeah, I think I would have leaned towards what their board has believed what they need to do what's best for their program. I don't play in it. I don't have any kids that play in it. So I would have to go with them having had their children play in the fields, and if the board sounds like voted on these priorities and they're willing to do what they need to do to get there, I would lean towards what they think is best. They're the ones that use it.
I'm going to sort of break protocol for just a second, just to clarify. So was this a board vote to do this?
Yes.
I'll be honest,
We voted to set priorities, yes.
No, but did you vote for this specific proposal of replacing all the infield mix at this cost?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And the 9,075, whatever would be removal, new lawn dog coming in.
Yeah, spread it, yeah.
The rental equipment to remove it. It would be everything that's required to
That- yes, this-
swap it out and make
yes.
it 70-60 field.
Yep.
All right. Any other discussion? Okay. All in favor? All opposed? All abstain? Okay, motion carries 3-1-1. So,
Appreciate your time.
so I guess the next step would be
Get the infield mix made. Don't you need to let them know to get the
Yeah.
infield mix?
so you got actually
Do you believe that field cannot be, that mix cannot be analyzed from UNH and possibly brought up to code?
I tell you what, guys, go out and take a look at it yourselves.
I
Everything
understand.
you looked at
It's-
just
that's
says
what sand
it's-
looks like. That's what sand would look like. That's what I did the same thing at Dara.
Okay, I mean, I don't even think it's sand, but there's obviously a question here. It's probably worth getting the question resolved. You know, if the UNH extension can do the analysis in 2 weeks,
Right.
you know, let's figure out what it is. I mean, there's an analysis from a company in Ohio of what infield mix is supposed to be, and we can compare it to that.
Next, where I'm going is I'd hate to donate all that money, or not donate, put all that money towards the soil. And then the irrigation gets pushed off when possible little doctoring of the soil may bring it up to snuff.
Understood. And honestly, it's a matter of, I don't want to burn bridges with you guys.
Not burn bridges.
And I'm
No.
sure hindsight will be 20/20 on this, and someone will come up with a miracle, when it's all said and done. So if it's worth waiting 2 weeks to make sure it's done right,
I mean, how long do you think the soil sample would take?
Usually it's 10 days to 2 weeks.
Oh, okay.
It depends. I don't know if it depends on the time of year. I mean, the springtime's busy. I don't know if the fall's busy. I'm
I
hoping.
mean, how long would it take to take 4 or 5 scoops of this stuff and bring it up to dirt doctors and have them even take a look at it? If they deal in this stuff, they know what it is.
If that would, I mean,
just bring it over to
drive-
Tim's turf then.
But I mean,
if
these
because
guys
we're getting from
do
dirt-
infield mix,
Mhm.
you want to go to them. Tim's
Sure.
Turf
So if you
doesn't
want us
really deal
to
with-
scoop it, I mean, I drive it over there tomorrow.
Andy, though, before we go, what exactly are you looking for analysis? Are you looking for a binary?
Well,
Yes,
I'm
it
looking to
can be
see-
salvaged, or no, it can't be. Or you're looking for ratios, or what?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
if
issues.
it's something they're like, hey, you know what, you're just missing this component, and maybe there's something in there that shouldn't be in there, but hey, they're experts saying, hey, if you can add 20% clay to this,
Mhm.
and it's going to be playable, and this other stuff is going to work itself out. Yeah, you're going to have to rake it out for a year or so, but it's not going to cause the playing conditions to be bad. It's just something that's going to have to be maintained, and eventually the fields will be good. And you're looking at $2,000 instead of $10,000, or at $9,000. You got another $7,000 towards the irrigation. The irrigation gets done right away.
The only danger in that is, so if we put in $2,000 and then we put in an irrigation system, and then in 2 years we decide that
No,
that
but I'm
field's-
saying that's off of the advice of going to dirt doctors. If they say, look, this is what you got, this can easily be turned into good infield mix by doing this, then you have that option. Right now, you have a vote from the board of spending the $9,000 and change to do what you want to do.
For the
But
dirt,
I would
yeah.
ask you guys to be diligent about it and say, you know what, we can save $7,000, or the potential of saving $7,000.
Mhm.
And I mean, you'd need to get the extra 25 cubic yards to do the 60-foot conversion. But, and that 25 cubic yards could be all clay. And then you're moving stuff around, you're doing that. So you could actually, when we looked at Dara Pond, we had a bid at one point of, I think it was $42,000 for fill, because we needed to bring that end of the field up.
Mhm.
Okay. And, we were voting for it, and it was going to be approved. And we said, hold on, this is ridiculous. And then on the separate board, we had Corning Field that had the parking lot that was like a little mound.
Mhm.
And eventually we said, why don't we take the top of that mound off, cart it down to Dara Pond and use that as fill. And we did that. We saved over $40,000 simply because we said, hey, is there a way to do this and still get what we're looking for? We want the fields to be safe and playable.
You're coming from the point that infield mix was purchased for these fields originally. So how did it go from infield mix to not usable within?
Well, it's probably the infield mix, whoever conditioned the infield mix probably didn't do a very good job. Whoever they purchased it from obviously wasn't the right mixture. So
I guess once again, just asking, if you're asking us to do our due diligence and take samples to some people and say, okay, we've been approved, but can we salvage? I don't have a problem with that.
well, you don't have to tell them you're approved. You can just go to them and say, hey, if they say
You are correct,
well,
sir.
hey,
Okay,
I can
so
either spend $9,000 with you, or if we can say, oh, gee, yeah, by all means.
I understand. So if we bring them a sample and say, can this material be added to rototilled, mixed, whatever words we want to use, and eventually get to this material? Can this plus clay become this mixture?
Or
If
I
that's-
mean, it might
if
be
that's-
playing something else. They might have different things they want to add.
Particles, materials, whatever we're going to describe.
Right.
And I don't personally have a problem with that. I don't see that as a negative or a hindrance to us. I just think that I think we're going to get our answer, and I'm pretty confident what the answer is going to be. We're dealing with two different materials. It's, I've never seen an infield. I've played on the red clay, I've played on the tan, I've played on stone dust, I've played on everything. I've never seen black pebbles in material.
Yeah,
I mean, it's
No, I understand what you want. I think we all understand. Let's do our due diligence. We won't spend any money until we get some kind of analysis. If you got some experience from this and some point of contact that we can go to, they'll expedite the process. We can get this done sooner.
It was Britain's Landscaping actually that did it for us out in, can't remember where he's out of.
You got my email. Just shoot me an
Yeah, I'll
email
do
and
this.
let me just point me in the right direction so we can get this done sooner than later.
Yeah, I mean, right now you guys have the go, so it's in your court. You guys decide. I mean, it's
our goal is not to be arrogant with our funds and now just go spend them as we see fit. Our goal is to maximize our funds. So if we find out that we can spend less of the approved money to get a quality product, by all means, why wouldn't we do that? It would be foolish and really hurting ourselves not to, because then we could use those funds for other parts of the project. 100% agree with that. So that, we can have this material that's there to 2 to 3 people probably by, Thursday, and get perspective from that.
that'd be great.
Being new here, so if, say that everything works out and you can get some mix for half the cost, they can only spend that money for the mix, right? They can't take this money and the rest of it and apply it towards the
No,
grounds and all
I
that
guess
stuff.
to be honest with you, and I feel very confident saying that, I think as a board, we would quickly review it and then reapproach you
Yep.
with almost, I guess, in essence, returning funds. I don't know if that's the proper way to say it, or asking for them to be reallocated to or to
Oh, no,
other aspects.
you don't have to do. Basically, you're going to say once you go ahead, you're just going to give us. We're going to approve, or you'll have to give us the invoices. We will approve them.
Sure.
And if the invoice is $2,700 instead of $9,000, we'll approve that. Obviously, that money stays in the
Understand.
revolving fund. And
Sure.
then- all right.
Appreciate your time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. So much for your quick meeting. there, Kurt.
It's always the chinks.
All right. All right. So, any other new business? Just a couple things. We're probably going to get hit with a bill. I got a call while I was away, and when I came back from Hudson Fire,
Yeah. What happened with that?
it was just the battery
Yeah.
had died. but it turns out somebody had disabled the pull station for our fire alarm.
Where's the pull station? I don't even.
Just the little thing that says you pull for
Oh,
fire
yeah.
alarm. Yeah.
You just, they seem to stay.
Somebody had disabled it. It sounds like it was professionally disabled. Somebody came in and said, "Oh, it's not operational." So the fire department is kind of looking in and saying, "Okay, how'd this happen?" But they did. It is up to speed. Hudson Fire didn't have a contact, so I gave them a contact number. If anybody else wants, I'll forward your number as well as a backup. So if you do, Kurt.
I live 2 miles from there.
The other thing, and you guys got my email about the 5th, that they're doing a walkthrough at Talent Hall.
Oh, yes.
So meeting the Board of Selectmen there and the Budget Committee at 7. And so if anybody else wants to join, if you can't make it there and you have things that you want me to point out at Talent Hall for them, please forward me that so I can make sure that we make them aware of.
Is that a Saturday?
It's a Thursday, I believe.
So they're just going through these facilities and looking to see what needs to be updated, what needs to be.
When we go to propose the budget and we say, hey, we need to do this, they want to have seen, okay, what are we looking at?
Right.
Like this, if we had dirt samples, it would have been a lot easier it probably would have been a much shorter discussion.
Okay, so they're gonna come in, we'll show them upstairs, we'll show them the office, we'll show them the bathrooms,
And
we'll show them the building that's 19.
Yeah.
I'll be there because I'd like to take a closer look as well.
okay. All right, old business. Any other new business, by the way?
I don't think so.
Old business, our budget. Has anybody had a chance to really take a look or dive into the budget?
I've looked at it, I don't know where we're gonna get any cuts.
I know.
I mean, we've been cutting,
I think we just basically have to not that we have discretionary spending, but I think we just basically need to say anything discretionary we need to put off and just keep it so that we try and make that bottom line.
We get that heating system that's hanging over our head.
I know, yeah, I know.
September is, I don't know, 4 days
Yeah,
away.
but if we don't have a heating system by the end of the year, we're not going to use any propane.
We will for the temporary system.
Budget?
Oh, we can just keep the bathrooms warm, and if you want to warm up, go in the bathrooms. That'll keep the pipes
Maybe,
from
I
freezing.
don't know how we're gonna get any cuts. I mean, it's just,
Well, we have two folds with our budget. Basically the cuts are what they are. We just try not to spend anything that we don't have to spend.
okay.
The big thing is we need to have a proposed budget. Do they put together a schedule yet for that, Kurt, as to when we have to present?
Yeah, I don't think I have it, but Desmond, I don't have it readily. I'll find it.
So it's not like in the next couple of weeks?
No,
probably.
No, it's a little ways away.
So I would say if we can take a look at our proposals for next year and at our next meeting, have any item, we'd see what the line items are. If there's anything that we feel we need to increase or decrease based off of a program that we're either starting or ending, or facilities, just bring that to the next meeting. We'll try and go through that as quickly as we can in our next meeting. And 'cause I know Mike was working on some things. I don't know if you had a chance to look into the fishing.
Not yet. After I got that email, I figured I'd hold off, but yeah, I'll contact Joe. I think they had like $500 or $1,000 is what they slated to do.
All right, so everybody good with that? So we'll have the budget as,
So the budget could include like a heating system and.
well, no, that wouldn't,
That come out of the capital building funds, wouldn't it?
Okay.
Yeah, that would
we're
basically
looking-
go all of our budget for the most part. So yeah, that would kill us.
I wasn't here for the last meeting, but in the minutes, I read that there was discussion about milfoil. Did Troy ever discuss whose budget that was gonna fall under, us
No,
or conservation?
no, and I gotta talk to Joan. I mean, it doesn't really matter which one it comes under,
It doesn't.
because they'll just, once we
Yeah,
get
it's a
the,
town budget thing.
yeah, once we get the money, get the quote for it, we'll put it forward to the budget committee and, we can decide between the Conservation Commission and ourselves where it goes. I would probably suggest the Conservation because they have a lot less going on money-wise. But it doesn't really matter. It doesn't impact them or us.
We wouldn't have to reduce by that amount.
No.
It would just be, okay.
Okay.
So, yeah, it would be something that we would either add to our budget or add to their budget.
Did you guys vote on LMS's request? Was that the last? Okay. All right.
How about the playground equipment and being moved? Determine that can't be moved, right? I think Andrew was gonna come back with a alternative.
Right. So hopefully you can go over that at the next meeting. But right now we didn't approve of moving that swing, the 2-bay swing station. 'Cause
Have they
there's-
done anything over there with the playground?
Not that I have seen, no.
It said August, but,
Yeah, I don't think the equipment's been delivered yet.
oh,
so.
okay.
How about, Brickyard
Oh.
Field? I saw the tractor back there.
Oh, that
Have you
was,
been there?
we got a request from soccer that the brush. So Kevin Brown went down there with his guys and cut back 6 to 8 feet of brush around. Just because the kids were going, it's right behind the nets, the ball would go in there, the kids would come out with ticks. And so we cut to our property line on that.
Was it cleaned up afterwards? Because he was saying,
I haven't seen,
Give it some
it
time
wasn't
to
cleaned up
dry.
when I went down there, but basically that was my message to the soccer was they were trying to figure out how to do it. So, well, we can have the town come and do it, but you guys would just need to sort of have like a little cleanup party with the parents. And
I mean, baseball does it every year. We clean up our field. Softball does it. I don't know if soccer ever really has to. I don't know if anybody's part of soccer, but
I know.
I've never heard of them having a cleanup day. So they seem to be able, not having to have done it. Maybe it's a good thing for them to get together and do.
so, I mean, if worse comes to worse, it's just stuff that's cut down and laying down on the ground. So anything that landed on the field would have been, when he cut the grass, would have been pretty much taken care of. So
yeah, I think his recommendation was give a little time so that any leaves and foliage would die off and it would be easier to identify.
the one thing, and it just dawned on me, is a concern down at Brickyard or in the field, is there used to be an emergency access road in the plans that goes down to Charles Bancroft Highway. And it was completely overgrown. And it was at one time I saw there was a street sign in there. It was kind of weird. That's gone. But there's a big wide path there, and it's
Looks like it's maintained.
it's more. So I'm thinking that there's ATVs being used on there. I think we probably should look at some type of barrier there because we don't want ATVs driving out onto the field. Not that they can't go under the chain in the driveway, but at least people would see them going in there. So that might be something we should look at.
Need a gate.
Yeah, or some type
Getting
of.
good at putting gates up.
Actually, you know what? We have that old gate sitting in back of the Talent. There's an old swing gate. I'll take a look and see if maybe that's something that we can.
Yeah, I walked back there when Mike mentioned it, and I'd noticed that road too, and I was quite surprised on how clear it was.
It wasn't clear a few years ago.
Yeah, now it's.
Yeah. But it doesn't look like this tire. I didn't see a lot of tire.
No,
tracks or
no, it
anything.
doesn't. I don't see any tire marks as well. It doesn't look like vehicles, but you can easily fit a vehicle through it.
Yeah, it was meant for, believe it or not, ambulance and emergency access to the field. I don't know, going through the woods, and it's actually pretty. If you go down there, and it's like this big cliff and drop, and it's nice. You can see the Nesson Brook down there, and it's really, really nice. A million mosquitoes, but nice.
Ticks,
Does it
mosquitoes,
abut
yeah.
someone's property?
Yeah,
Okay.
but
They have a right
it's a
of way.
town right away all the way down.
Okay.
Matt I don't know, Matt was looking up John Bryant River Access the other day, and he said it comes up as Litchfield River Access.
I've submitted that into
They did.
Google.
Okay, good. Okay, cool. I didn't know how to do it. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
I sent them pictures of proof, and they said, "Thank you for your pictures. Your pictures are helping people."
Okay. There we go.
Like, great. So if you actually go on there and you see pictures, you'll see the pictures I sent, but they haven't changed the name.
All right. That's good. That's good, at least.
All right. Any other old business?
I don't think so.
Anything else, or somebody like to make another motion? Actually, I'm going to open it up for, I know we have a representative here from LGSL. Any questions you have? I know you're sort of here as a fact finding.
Yeah, so after talking with you, I just wanted to come tonight to kind of, refer to the LGCL vice president. So, Wise Man once told me to kind of work hand in hand with you folks. So I kind of wanted to understand this whole process. And seeing this baseball example was very enlightening to see how this whole thing works from the board side of things. So, just wanted to really introduce myself and so like I said, I'm Craig Zupenis, 4 Blackbird is my address.
Do you want him to come up?
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
I'm sorry, Craig.
I forgot that those don't reach all the way back there.
And she's trying to get you on camera.
Oh, okay. Craig Zupenis, 4 Blackbird Lane, Litchfield, New Hampshire. Currently the LGSL vice president. So my first year kind of entrenched with the whole process there. So as I was saying before, a wise man once told me that working hand in hand with you folks here is a good idea, and obviously get to know what you guys do, and then obviously understand it more from my side. So I'm just here on a kind of a good faith kind of to see how the whole process works, introduce myself, and just kind of say hello. So
So you're not involved in town softball?
Not really, not anymore, no.
So my suggestion would be,
Peter.
oh, you're involved?
Peter.
Girls, yeah.
Really? Okay, so good. So you on the board over there?
Not yet, no.
Okay.
Rub me in.
Rick's going.
You're still on the board. But usually we try and suggest that you have somebody on your board that's also a representative here.
okay.
It makes it a lot easier
Mhm.
when we're going around to say, what's going on. Right now, we don't have anybody from basketball though either.
No? Well, Mike is not on basketball
No.
anymore?
So we have somebody from every group except for, well, kind of quasi softball. So with you,
Yeah,
so,
we're very quasi.
it just makes things a lot easier because it's easier for communication. But not
That
required.
sounds good. Duly noted. I'll make sure that I didn't,
I think we
were
have
you the
one
rep
alternate
before?
position left open.
What's that?
Were you kind of the liaison before?
Yeah,
Okay.
me,
Okay.
Keith Buxton too.
Okay.
So
Yep.
me and Keith. were
I've
both.
heard that name before too, but no, I'll take that back. That's actually a good idea. So I'll definitely take that back and just got to try to find some board members. So, but thank you for that. And I'll definitely take that back.
Right.
Any other recommendations for me, I guess, going forward from the rec commission side?
Take care of your infield backs.
I wanted to say that.
No problem with me.
Good shape right now. It's in real good shape. Yeah.
Well, appreciate the time and thank you very much.
Thank you, Chris,
you.
for coming. Thank you.
Anything else? Any other business?
That was it.
All right, I will make the motion to adjourn.
Perfect.
I'll second it.
Motion and second. All in favor? Aye. Okay, approved. We are adjourned. Thank you.
Great.